somebody used to ask her, like, man, when I'm gonna get it right, you know? It ain't like I ain't had no good examples, nobody telling me, you know, to straighten up and do this and learn how to build a house and learn how to do this. I had a lot of people telling me things. I was messing up, and my mom, she always poured into me, man. You know, I sent my mom through so many crying nights, and yeah, well, first of all, you know, every adult was a child at one point in time. So it's like you got to break the chains, man, when it comes to the trauma.
All right, y'all, it's your boy, the Street Priest, Mr. Kill Trauma. We back with another exclusive interview with my boy Sparks, and you about to check out this interview that we putting down, and I want to make sure this is for your enjoyment. Now, what do you do, Sparks? What do you do? Let the people know what you do, man.
I'm an internationally known artist, man. I do artwork, spark work, network, dream live art, man. That's what I am, and that's what I do.
DLA, Dream Live Art?
Dream live art, dream live art.
So we here today in the Dream Live, Dream Live Art studio with an exclusive interview. So make sure y'all stay tuned and check it out. What up, y'all? What it do? It's the Street Priest, Mr. Kill Trauma, and we are here with another episode of the Kill Trauma podcast. We've had 3 or 4 episodes so far, and the premise of the podcast is for us to talk about how we can kill trauma, how we can kill childhood trauma. I always say that trauma leads to drama, and that leads to more trauma, and that childhood trauma, which I'm a specialist in, is not caused by children. Unfortunately, it's caused by adults. So how can we as adults come together, have conversations, take accountability, and be able to make sure that we don't pass our negative, harmful emotions off on other people? So the guest I have here today, this is kind of like a real humbug. He's not a humbug, but us talking is a humbug. We just happen to work in the same place. We at Opportunity Plus, and let me make sure I do that. This is for promotional purposes. Opportunity Plus, 1409 West Michigan Avenue, Battle Creek, Michigan. So for all your hair beautification needs, if you got locks, if you need to get a cut, got my boy here, you see he do the art, he'll be able to tell you a little bit more about what he do. I'm the building manager here, so I don't get the glamorous, lovely, you know, creative job. I got to just make sure everything is flowing well. But, you know, it's a teamwork, make the dream work. And we all working together as African-American entrepreneurs, you know, to inspire other people through what our gifts, our callings, and our talents are. So like I said, this interview here is a little bit different because it wasn't, you know, I would say by design. It wasn't, you know, something that I thought about. We just happened to run into each other. We start talking, and he asked me how everything was going and what I was into. And I said a whole lot. And he was like, well, what do a whole lot mean? So I started explaining how my work is based around helping adults understand how we push our childhood trauma, our adverse emotions, our negativity off on children, and we don't do it on purpose. And then he began to tell me a testimony about how he experienced this in his own life. So you want to jump in there, or you want to introduce yourself? Yeah. No, let's jump in there, and then I'll come back with the introduction, because I wanted them to know how this whole thing came together.
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, every adult was a child at one point in time. So it's like you got to break the chains, man, when it comes to the trauma, you know. That's where it helps me not to judge people, you know what I mean, because everybody come from somewhere, you know, and the trauma do be real, you know. You never know how deep it actually is for you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
Going through things as a kid, you know, and then, you know, your parents was a kid at one time and they went through whatever they went through, and we always get taught by somebody. So it's like when they say you got to search within to find yourself. Mm-hmm. That's a true statement. You know what I mean? Because you think about it, everything that you ever been taught, you've been taught by somebody else. So, you know, putting your own blueprint on life. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And that's where I would commend you on taking this responsibility on putting this out there, even though there's a lot of people done put this out here, but this narrative that you know how I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just supposed to take your shit. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
I ain't got to change for nobody. You talking about that type of stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
You know how I am. You know how this make me feel and all that. Like, come on, it's all about evolution, evolving. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I like the fact that you coming up with steps to rectify the healing process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts.
Because nobody wanna look in the mirror nowadays. Everybody wanna blame somebody else for what they got going on, you know?
And that's what got me. When we was talking, that's the main thing stuck out to me. I even went and told my wife. I was like, man, I was talking to Spark, man, and he was like, the difficulty in what you're doing is that you telling people they got to look in the mirror. And most people don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to do that, but as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an artist, you constantly having to look in the mirror every day to see what's on the inside of you and what you want to bring out to help others. So let's talk about what you do. I see this logo, this wall, you know what I'm saying? I would think somebody else done this. I wouldn't even think, matter of fact, we're going to talk about who done this in a second because we don't know, the people don't know who done this, but you got this DLA, is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay, so explain this to us. Explain who you are and how you are here today with this beautiful artwork behind us. What's up with this?
Well,
man?
DLA stands for Dream Live Art. Okay. It could be Dream Live Art.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And there's an art on everything that you do in this world.
Yeah.
So that's why this name really stuck to me. You know what I mean? Well, I've always been an artist my whole life. But as a young man, you know, I never knew my father until I was 15 years old.
Okay.
So, you know, it was always like once I got into the teenage years, it was like trying to find what a man is. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I had a father figure, but he wasn't mine.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that.
So it was like, I was wondering why I was treated. I've always felt like a black sheep or a misfit. Like, you just got to get it on your own. But what my father figure did teach me was a work ethic. Shit, when I was about 9 years old, I had a whole lawn service with employees.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't call them employees because they were my partners. You know what I mean?
Right.
We was all together on it. So I always had an entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things that still, that's what I'm saying, when you growing up and you've been taught certain things, you tend to stick with these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by the time I got, 15, I was trying to figure out what becoming a man was, and I started getting into street activities, like so many others. But by the time I was 16, I had caught an armed robbery. So I got picked up when I was 17 and was tried as an adult. And that's when everything just started going haywire with me, you know.
So you were still using your hands. You just didn't know how to use them properly because there was no one to show you this. Now, it's funny you say that because I didn't even know if I was going to say this. But when we had our function, our reception, our dinner, my wife was like, why Sparky didn't come? I hear you talking about this dude. I'm like, Sparky was the one. He said, what? I thought Sparky was a white person this whole time.
Every time.
People say that to you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. They thought you was white because this level of artistry don't generally come from our people, especially in this community that we live in.
Right.
So it's very rare. So you may be looked at as a black sheep or seen as a black sheep because you doing stuff that is not necessarily pushed by our people.
But you think about it, 90% of every problem is in your own brain.
There you go. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
limited
one or two
beliefs.
people could say something that's foul about you and you think the whole world done said it.
For sure.
Because it's in your brain.
For
This
sure.
is what I always use to push forward too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So fast forward to getting caught up into that jail thing. I was messing up and my mom, she always poured into me, man. You know, I sent my mom through so many crying nights, and I remember I used to ask her, like, man, when I'm gonna get it right, you know? It ain't like I ain't had no good examples, nobody telling me, you know, to straighten up and do this and learn how to build a house and learn how to do this. I had a lot of people telling me things.
They was telling you, but was they showing you?
That part.
I'm asking you.
No.
Because they wasn't doing what they were saying, right?
Yeah.
They was?
I could say yeah and no.
Okay.
Because my mind wasn't mature enough to
But the people that was doing it wasn't just living this straight life they was telling you to do.
Oh, they was.
Okay, explain that. Go ahead. Okay.
They was. But, you know, when you telling somebody younger to mature before their time, you talking to like somebody who blind or got a defect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it take maturity to be able to get these things that
so
that's why
sure.
I say don't ever stop telling a person the things you got to tell them, because once they get mature enough, it's like it's gonna come to them like they thought this up.
Right. Oh wow.
But it was already planted in you.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you finally be like,
you planted the seed, and you forget somebody told you.
Yeah, and then you come up with
it.
these good ideas that somebody already done told you years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And sometimes you tell it to them, and they be like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, where do you think you got it from? Right. I feel that.
So that's why I say I practice that with my sons. I'm like, what I'm about to tell you is almost selfish of me to tell you this, because I'm telling you to grow up before your time.
Right.
But remember these lessons that I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can't lie and say nobody told them to me. I just don't remember. I wasn't.
Right.
My brain wasn't developed enough.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's two directions I want to go. The first one I want to touch on, I'm gonna get back to our conversation because it was something crucial in what you said to me. But I want to talk about your rise or your evolution, because I know your art started before this, but I remember you in the gutter on a corner that's like one of the roughest corners in Battle Creek, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That'd be Parkway and Hubbard, right?
Yeah.
And you used to have stuff hanging up on the. You have stuff hanging up on the porch? What was it hanging on the porch? Was it hanging in trees from the clothes? Where was this stuff hanging from? And what was you doing? Tell us what you was doing and what was going on. Because I used to see a whole bunch of shirts lined up, and you would be, what was going on with that? And about what year was that? Tell us that.
That had to been that was before two.
No,
yeah,
how many years ago? How many years ago? Let's talk about.
Wow, bro, you taking me way back, man. That was
20, 18.
Yeah, I was about 20.
No, not your age, but how long ago was this? Was it 20 years ago?
I'm about to tell you. It had to be about. Yeah, I was about 22 when I started really like bringing it out of the basement. See, because I was in the basement for a long time, and I was scared to bring it out because I'm like, what if it be too much for me? What if everybody want it and I can't do it?
But you ain't told us what I'm talking about. I'm just painting the picture.
Bro, it was 20. It was about 23 years ago.
And you was doing what 23 years ago of what I'm referring to?
I was airbrushing shirts, T-shirts, shoes, hats, license plates.
Was you at the park sometime on Family Day doing this stuff too?
No doubt.
So tell us your story, man. Don't make me just pump it up.
No, I'm telling you, bro. I mean, you just brought me so back, man. There's so much I done did since then, bro. But I was going to jail too much, man, and I wanted to make my mama proud for something, man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I ended up meeting my dad when I was 15, and me and my dad recreated a close bond. And I remember he seen me out in the streets, you know. By this time, where I really link in with him, I had been to jail for armed robbery and all of that. You know what I mean? So when I got out, I'm selling little weed, you know, smoking weed, and you know the stuff that teenagers tend to do. But
right.
My daddy told me, he said, I can give you $10,000 right now. And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. He said, but I'm not. And so I'm kind of mad. He said, look, son, you can give a person some food, or you can teach him how to fish for himself. And if you teach him how he can fish himself, he could eat whenever he want to.
Right.
But if I give you the food, then you're going to be coming back in another week asking for some more.
Yeah.
So he gave me my first airbrush gun.
Okay.
In my first airbrush
was he
tank.
an artist as well, or
Yeah,
that's where your artistic skills came from?
Yeah, my dad.
So had you known him earlier, you might have been more comfortable and gotten to it sooner.
Definitely.
So that's a lesson for us brothers to be in our children's life. Because I always use an analogy, and I never heard the comments from women if they get offended by it. But I say the male seed is the ingredients.
Definitely.
The woman is the oven. Don't agree to this because they might be mad about it. I don't want to. Let this be my statement because I don't want to attack you. I don't want to attack you. But a lot of the DNA and the genes, I feel like, of the child is more of the men because it's actually the male seed that is penetrating the woman to create this child. So if we're not in our child's life and they don't see how we are or recognize what's inside of us that's inside of them, or somebody that knows what's inside of them to recognize what's inside of their child, a lot of kids are missing out and falling short because they don't have that example of who they really are in an actual male figure.
I got a different way to articulate.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Now, I say the man is the friction, the hammer, the beat down.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The mother is like the sandpaper to just smooth it out. You know what I mean? She make sure, daddy making sure you get that game. Mama making sure you can smooth it out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And she always got that one in the hole because she going to be like, what? You messing up. I'm going to have to tell your dad.
Facts,
you know what I'm saying? Because daddy coming with that power.
This may be a good point of what's going on with our society because somebody said if you got a blade and you spend all the time sharpening your blade, at one point, it ain't going to be nothing but a little nub. It ain't going to be nothing there. And we got a lot of men in our society, in our black society, that there's nothing there because all they had was that sandpaper. So I think it's very important for men to be in their child's life, which takes me to my next point. I said I had two places. I wanted to ask about the art and kind of come around there, but it was one thing you said was when I brought up the fact that this whole podcast started because my mom came to me and she apologized for what I went through as a child. And you told me that one of your children had to come to you and tell you some stuff that you didn't really want to hear, but it was real, so you had to just take it in. Can you touch on that for us?
Well, yeah, man, because, the way I was taught is when a grown folk talking, you shut up, you know what I mean? You don't talk back, you don't talk back to no grown up, and you definitely don't talk back to me. And when grown folk talking, you get out of here.
Okay.
So, that was the old way of doing things, so these days I just like to be a father plus a friend. You know what I mean? I feel like my technique is being a father and a friend, because and when I started thinking like that, it started getting better communication with my sons. But before then, like you touched on this, it's like you got so many different pressures coming in. You got bills, you got work, you got somebody to just cut you off in traffic. You just got a phone call, somebody talking nonsense to you. Your mind in so many different ways that you don't know how to shut that off and engage with, your loved ones. You know what I mean? And they end up getting the sharpest end of that stick. You know what I mean?
The sharp end and the short end.
Yeah, the short and sharp end. You know what I mean? Like and my son one day, he was he just bust out on me, man. I would cut in. I got kind of frustrated with him, and I talked to him in a way I shouldn't have talked to him. And he made sure that, like, hey, man, Dad, hey, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I had to sit back and learn. And I'm like, man, I ain't going to never talk to you like that no more, man. We're going to be able to sit down and talk about whatever we need to talk about. I ain't gonna cut into you like that no more. I'm gonna treat you like a grown man, and if I'm gonna do that for you, you expect that from anybody else.
So was he grown at the time?
No.
How old was
he was 15 right now.
Oh, okay.
This happened when he was like 13.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I could tell he got a lot inside of him because he what you call that? He a mulatto.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I ain't hip on that.
He black and white.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
that's a name for that?
Mulatto.
I thought it was mixed.
Basically.
Mixed is just some street term?
Yeah, that's street term. Now it's a mulatto.
That's now. That's new wave talk.
That's now. But
okay,
like
got it. Okay.
Now, boy.
When we was younger, the mulatto didn't exist.
Hey, man,
I'm asking, did it exist back then or?
No.
Okay,
it was mixed.
Okay, it was mixed. I'm just making sure.
Mixed.
I thought he was like mixed with something overseas or something.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, they go through a lot more than what the average black or white kid go through. They go through way much more.
I told a girl in my personal growth class I've been doing, I was like, man, you mixed, cause her brother mixed. I thought they had the same mom. I'm like, you mixed? She's like, I am not mixed. I'm like, man, you is mixed. She's like, I can't believe that you keep doing this. She about to cry, like people don't want to be mixed these days. I guess like it's a stigma among children. So
but if you look at it in school, they all hang around each other.
Mixed kids?
Yeah,
I didn't know this. I didn't recognize that. Okay,
yeah, man.
Okay, I'm peeping now. Because I work with children. I never even knew this was a thing, but when you said it, it made sense because the girl was just like, don't call me mixed. I'm going to go get my cousin so you can see him.
They got so much more anger built up than your average race. People, the mixed races.
Yeah, but your son mulatto, I threw you off. Your son is mulatto. Keep going.
Yeah. So, when he blew up on me when he was 13 like that, I knew he had a lot of things going on inside that he don't tell me about at school. You know what I mean? Because you never too black, you're never black enough, you're never white enough. You just like, in the middle. Dealing with that angle of life is definitely, you definitely would love to have a father figure in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, you got to feel like you belong to something. Most of them be good at sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. Because they need that, togetherness type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
because belonging, a person's belonging, that's the number one, the core needs of a child. Number one is belonging. So if you may not feel like you belong, now you got to almost pick a side. What side do I belong to?
Yeah. And as an adult now, you got to sometimes bring it all the way back to when you was a kid too. Mm-hmm. To understand, times didn't change, but they ain't changed that much. Ain't nothing new under the sun.
For sure, yeah.
The same struggles that you went through, you know what I mean? And the same things that you came through.
Yeah.
To be able to say, okay, this is who I am now, is the same things that these kids is going through.
Yeah.
And we forget that. I know I do at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's because you expect them to have the maturity to see things as you see them now.
Right,
but back then, you know what I mean?
Right, we didn't have it.
We ain't see it like we see it now.
Yeah.
And I hear this all the time on everybody else's podcast too. Oh man, these youngsters, man, they just out of control now. But this was going on every generation.
And I would say, for me personally, my experience, what I see, I don't think the children are as advanced as we were in criminality and doing some of the stuff that I was doing. I know for my child, per se, I can only speak for my child. I don't feel like the world is worse now than it was in the 90s and the 2000s. You do? Do you?
Definitely.
You think it is?
I definitely think it's a balance that tipped it more on no, you don't get no personal life no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had to be there at 8 o'clock if you wanted to get that phone call from the girl.
For sure. Or be at the game, or be
at the fight.
Right.
You ain't just gonna be able to say, "Look at this fight."
Okay.
You know.
So the exposure is greater.
It's way greater, man.
Okay.
It's way more.
Because I feel like some of the stuff that I was doing at a certain age, some kids is doing it, but a lot of them doing it at a younger age, and I was too. So I guess it go both ways. Okay, go ahead. I can't just be
not only that, but not only that, even like getting on the camera, man. For a lot of people that was coming up in them 80 babies, the camera is something new.
Right, facts. Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
It's like you got to get a lot of you got to slaughter a lot of your old thinking to even get on the camera and do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know many people that don't even have one picture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts, yeah.
So it's like, I love that part of the new life because it is evolving and is making us step out of our comfort zones. Mm-hmm. And it's accepting that it's a new way of things going on, But our kids, man,
what would you say to parents to help them bring what's on the inside of their child out? So let's say there's a child who has certain aspirations, but they don't see that in their environment. So you had aspirations. I would think the closest thing you seen to what you do was the art on the outside of a Sweet Tooth ice cream truck. And did you do some of that art or no?
I did.
You did the art. Okay, there you go. Okay.
I did,
but that was probably the closest thing to art in our community. Was it or am I wrong?
You right.
You was sweeter than the art teacher. The art teacher just had a degree. They didn't know how to do art.
Right.
They just go in the book and get a lesson plan.
Man, I was inspired. I remember I was a basketball player. That was art. You know, everybody had a hoop dream. You know, and I lived in Flint, Michigan, and I got my first airbrush shirt. It was a Shaquille O'Neal airbrush because Shaquille O'Neal was my favorite hooper, and ever since then I was turned on in airbrush, and I was just like, I can do that. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't a person. It was just you saw this and you felt like this is something that you could possibly do.
When I see it and I like it, I'm gonna do it.
You bought it from somebody? Bought it for you? You bought it from somewhere?
Somebody bought it from me.
Okay, so that person was a game changer in your life because you might not have even pursued it or thought about it. What you used to do? Sketching school, or what you used to do to know you had art skills?
I used to draw people's names for 75 cents.
Okay, so you was hustling back then.
Always.
Okay.
Selling gum, candy.
Okay.
I always been a seller, man.
Okay. Okay. You know? Okay. I like that.
Always, man.
But back to the question: what can a person do? So if you were 30 years ago, okay, you yourself today, but a 30-year-old version of you, what could a adult, a parent, a teacher do to help pull all this greatness that's inside of you out? Because there's another child that has as much greatness or more greatness that can get a 10-year head start, a 12-year, a 15-year head start. What can they do? Because you the artiste. What they do? What the artists do? What artists do? What they do, bro? You know that? The little French thing they be doing?
Yeah, man. But that's that question is so cold-blooded.
I'm just wondering, like, what can they do to, like, hone in and say, dang, they could be great?
Man, that's an amazing question. I don't think I got the answer for it.
You don't think so? You 10, 12,
I
13,
would say,
you ain't met your dad yet. He ain't brought you the airbrush gun. You got the Shaquille O'Neal shirt.
I would say, give out a project and see where the child is at and keep it real with them. And the things that they're not good at, put them in a situation where they can get better at.
Okay, I like that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But keep it real with them.
So you might not start with paint. You might want to start with some chalk, ground chalk, and just get them, because that's gonna wash away. It ain't gonna be permanent. Something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely.
Okay. In art. Now, what about those who want to be rappers and all that? They inspiring to be rappers and they want to use their artistic skills. Like, it's so many different things as entrepreneurs we can do right now. Same thing.
There's art. Art, it comes in many forms. You know what I mean? Give them a task, see what they're good at and what they're not good at and what they ain't good at. Put them in an arena where they can get better at and compliment them on what's good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's where you develop your own style, because we got so many people mimicking the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, we always like to hear that unique sound. So it do come back to searching within, because you, like I said, you always got somebody telling you something and you learning from them. So you never get your own thoughts until you old enough or until you mature enough to look within yourself And the only way you're gonna look within yourself is checking out all of the things that you went through, you know, and really what's the word I'm looking for? Analyze what you've been through and take what you've been through, and you come up with your formula, you know. But keeping an open mind as well, like what we doing right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
'Cause just because you know you blurt out things don't make it real for nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So my final question is, what does art do for you? So you are a service provider. You do art for other people. You done this, right?
No doubt.
You done this for yourself, but it ain't really for yourself. It's for the enjoyment of people who come in. So what does art do for you? What do you get out of it other than monetary compensation? What does doing art do for you?
It gives me a sense of identity.
Ah, that's deep.
You know, because everything I did, I just wanted to be identified. You know, when I sold weed, I wanted to be identified as a get money seller weeder.
Selling weeder. Got it.
When I did lawns, I wanted to be, you know, identified as a lawn server.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, at the beginning and at the end, we definitely got to get the money, you know?
So it gives you a sense of identity.
Yeah.
Okay. What's any final words that you would give to the people? If you had to leave them with a message, what would that be?
I would say energy and motion. Always stay in motion. No matter who you are somebody, and you here for a reason, you know. And never quit, never give up, and keep an open mind, man, because times is changing, and you got to change with the times, man. And don't be fake about what you putting out here, you know. And stop reading that 48 laws of power trying to manipulate people.
So did you just tell them stay in their emotions? Is that what you told them?
Huh?
Did you just tell them stay in their emotions, or you didn't say that?
No.
Because I thought emotion is energy in motion.
Energy in motion. That means staying moving.
Okay, keeping your energy moving. Okay. Don't be in your emotions.
Be dormant.
Keep your energy in motion. Because when you get in your emotions, you kind of stop, you stand still, you don't move forward.
Yeah, and like you said, we don't got the balance of mom and dad. So it's like, if you in your emotions, man, you can do so much. It's like, you know, so much destructive.